to He Said, She Said, a relationship podcast. St. Patty's Day edition, episode 9. We are Luke and Sarah. We're married with kids, and we like to pretend we know what we're doing with them. We sit down once a week to talk about family, parenting, relationships, and life in general, giving you both sides of the story. Sometimes we even answer some questions from listeners like you. If you have a question about parenting, relationships, life in general, what have you, you can contact us a couple different ways. Email is hesaidshesaiedpc@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at hesaidshesaiedpc or on Facebook, He Said, She Said Podcast. So yeah, send us those questions.
I have a question.
What's up?
Where the hell's the remote?
I don't know. We don't need it.
I know.
We'll find it eventually.
It was sitting on it.
The joys of living room podcasting.
I had to, it just bugs me because every time I can't find it, I think Sydney ran off with it. Because she's becoming quite mobile in recent days.
That's my top news for my
Sydney
week.
has finally, she took her first steps Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve. And since then, we're like, oh, man, we got to get ready. And then, like, we're like, oh, still waiting, Sydney. And then we're kind of, like, done with it.
She walks around on her knees from Christmas till now.
And she'd take, like, a step. And she's like, I'm good. This week, she finally decided to, like...
She stood up and walked on her own.
Stood up and walked. I was like, I'm just going to do this now. And we're like, whole new set of problems.
No, I will take those walking child problems because I was starting to freak out a little.
Well... I made the mistake of Googling.
No, never do that.
Oh, man. So here's the things WebMD said it could have been.
Oh, God.
First thing, cerebral palsy. And I was like, oh, my God. And I was like, there's no way. Because she doesn't have any other signs. And I was like, does that, like, manifest? Was she, like, degenerate?
Yeah.
I don't think that's how it works. So, and I was like, does she ever... Because there's... Like the kid on Breaking Bad, in real life, he has very mild...
Aaron Paul? No.
No.
The son.
You know, the character who had cerebral palsy.
I forgot.
The actor has very mild cerebral palsy, and he talked about having to, like, up it on the show, and he had to, like, learn how to turn it on.
Right.
Anyway, I was looking for little signs and thinking, I was like, does she do anything? Because she stood on her tippy toes a lot. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest sign. And I was like, okay, I don't think it's that. And then the next one was a lot of kids have this thing where it's a rare condition where their Achilles tendon is too small. And the main symptom is, or the main sign is, they're always trying to walk on their tiptoes. And I was like, son of a bitch, that's knowing our luck. That's going to be us. And they're like, it can be corrected with physical therapy or minor surgery. And I'm like, there's a surgery to take my toddler and cut open her foot, move her Achilles tendon. And I'm like, that sounds like a big deal. And she whines a lot. Can you imagine? And then there was other ones there was most articles. Disclaimer. Views and opinions of me do not reflect us. I find some of those mommy sites unbearable. I
don't know why you had to say that. I don't go to them.
Some listeners might go to them.
Oh, I thought you meant us as in me and you.
No, I'm saying this reflects my opinion, not yours.
Yours, the listeners, not yours, the Sarahs.
My point is, I don't want to offend anyone. I find those websites unbearable because it's always like, well, my DD, blah, but I just hate. It's so stupid. Anyway, a whole bunch of those popped up, and it was like, oh, mine didn't walk until 20 months. They're fine. Mine didn't walk till 8, like whatever. And I'm like, oh, we're okay. But then she walked like a week after I Googled that. So
I was just concerned because you and your sister both had to wear leg braces. That was the most logical worry.
Like the biggest sign of that was I was pigeon-toed because of my problems with my hips. And I believe Heather was pigeon-toed as well.
Yeah, but your mom told me Heather didn't walk until she had the braces on her legs.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was really exciting. And Sydney had a really good week because she finally walked, I think. She was getting super frustrated with not being able to figure that out. And she finally did. So that was really, really great. She's adorable and totters around. She crawled up on the couch once by herself. That was a first this week too. Which I immediately regretted because I was in the chair and she kept getting closer and closer to the edge, which would grant her access to the other half of our living room that's kind of blocked off and not baby proofed at all. So I was like, okay, that's enough of that. Anyway, so
Also, I think we need to reiterate that when she gets up on the couch, how she gets down is she dives head first for fun.
she got down okay by herself. Like she went backwards.
I
She's
know.
learning.
We're trying to teach her.
But
Anyway,
besides that, what else did I do this week? Oh, I'm going on day 4 of Pure Barre tomorrow morning. They have a challenge in March. I'm halfway through. I've done 12 classes in the month of March so far.
I went to the gym 3 times this week.
That's impressive. Good job, honey.
That's something.
I'm pretty sure I strained my wrist going to Pure Barre so much, but I'll be okay. I got a little Kroger wrist brace thing I'm wearing now. It's super, super nerdy, but that's okay. I rock it. But, yeah, I'm excited for the weekend. Busy weekend. I'm off work on Monday, so that's really cool. Just took a day off to have a day off. Sometimes you need that. And I get to see my lady friends tomorrow for one of our lady friend gatherings. So that'll be fun.
You make it sound like you're going to one of those wiener parties.
No, it is direct sales, but it's not a wiener party one. You're talking about like the Pure Romance?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not that. It's clothes.
Pure
and
leggings.
I don't want to give any more free advertising, so I'm not even going to like go into that whole thing.
Yeah, unless you pay up.
Not that. It's just if no, it's no one's going to
If
hear
anyone's
it.
interested in advertising on a podcast,
Right.
real cheap.
Super cheap. But yeah, I think. Oh, for anyone who follows along in our thrilling tales of our weekly lives, last week I mentioned I had a custom project I was helping recruit for. It was last night, and it went so great. Every single person I recruited showed up. That never happens, they told me. You over-recruit. I scheduled 5 extra people to account for people not showing up. But if everyone shows, everyone's part of the group. And everyone showed up. And it's really great because I look like a rock star to this newly acquired part of our business. So
When you say you look like a rock star, I'm picturing like leather pants.
I mean, I could
like a
totally work from home in leather pants if I wanted to.
Like the guy in Love Actually.
Billy Mack.
Yeah. So it's like
I feel it in my fingers.
I picture like a British rock star.
I really shouldn't sing. Anyway, yeah. So I think we both had pretty
With
okay
a
weeks.
chain belt.
You're not allowed to talk about your week too much because I think you had a kind of a stressful week at work. So I don't want you to have to rehash that.
I mean, it wasn't that stressful. It's
You
just-
and we'll talk about it more when we talk about our topic here in a little bit. Because my revelation on why I chose the topic we did ties
It's
into
more than
our
just
life.
work. I had some
right?
annoyances this week that weighed on me.
It's just our life sometimes. So anyway,
So ask me how my week went. I
how was your week?
don't want to talk about it.
Okay, good. Moving on. I'm kidding.
I will say, I do want to point out I went to the Urbana High School's musical. They did Thoroughly Modern Millie, and I do want to say those kids did a good job.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah. The kids did a good job, even though the play was kind of racist and made light of sex trafficking. So that's something.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a little... I read about it more, and the movie was written in the 60s, and then a musical was written in 2000. And I was like, even in 2000, you think they would have addressed that? Like, they had the totally, like, stereotypical Asian, and they had a woman in yellowface.
Oh my god.
Or a girl, a student. But there were some kids who, like, had some really... They had some real talent. And, I'm always proud of kids for getting up there and doing it.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
it's hard. I did theater in
I did one play.
in high school. That was,
It was
my
called-
jam. Well, not the musicals because I can't sing or dance. I could probably dance in one now,
It
but I
was-
can't sing.
Assignment Earth. It was about saving the planet by recycling and stuff.
Oh my god.
And my character was Chip. And I forgot my line on the very first play.
Aww.
Only for like 5 seconds, because I went to the microphone and I was like, fuck.
Well, you didn't say that.
But my line was, and was my mom surprised when I started picking up bottles and cans and putting them in the recycling? That was it. That's what I couldn't remember. I was born for the stage. Laugh. Insert laughter.
Okay, so
Oh, I thought you needed guidance. I thought you were like umming.
I just wanted to check in. We have a segment that you never remember. I did it once.
The
secret parenting praise.
I remember.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I guess I don't get any. I don't have anything. I just wanted to make sure you didn't forget about it.
I like it when you're working and she's sitting with you because it's adorable. I know it sucks for you.
It's so hard. That's like when I'm like, oh, I can't do this every day, but I have to do it right now. It's so hard. I'm
Switch
literally
places with you in the blink of an eye if I could.
today we were on the couch, and if anyone knows me in real life, that Instagram photo of her crying on my lap was taken during this episode. I got her calmed down with some Elmo, of course. So she's on my lap, and my laptop is to my right, and like our couch is like a freaking twin size bed in depth. So she's sitting between my legs, and I'm like twisted, contorted over to my right, like typing and working and like sorting through people. It's a crazy time some days, but other days, like every day but today, she was great this week. She just did so well. And like I said, I'm so happy she's walking, because I was freaking out like any new mom would. So
As one does.
anyway,
Are you going to read the follow-up thingy?
yeah, let's do that. So we had a comment from one of our listeners on our Facebook page a few episodes ago. Do you remember what episode it was, honey? We talked about when I tried the beets. It was episode 6.
Oh, and we were talking about baby jerky.
Yeah.
Was it?
I
don't remember for sure.
I tried some baby food, or it's not even baby food, it's like kid food, in the pouch form. It was beets and apples and strawberries and carrots. And Luke made a comment that he would try the meats if it was like baby jerky. And I said, they don't make baby jerky. They would choke on it.
And we made a joke about like jerky made from babies.
Right. And that was creepy. So here's her comment. Luke, there is such a thing as baby jerky, but it is not intentionally made. I like the way she said that, by the way. You get baby jerky when your kid eats, which you know is a full contact activity, and bits find their way to forgotten places. I just found some strawberry jerky in a weird spot in my child's high chair. We can totally 110% relate to this, because it goes underneath the cover. It goes everywhere.
Our cat has eaten it, and we found it in her puke.
Yeah, it's so gross. Like,
So, new term, baby jerky. When your kid drops shit while they're eating, and it gets hidden in the chair.
it dries out, and it's just nasty
Oh,
afterwards.
Fig Newtons makes really good baby jerky. She likes them.
Bananas.
She goes, when she wants a cookie, she goes, "Cookie." When she asks for a cookie.
It's so cute.
And it's so cute, but like
Sometimes she gets like tired halfway through. She like gets, I don't want this anymore. And then
sometimes she'll take it out of her mouth and hand it to you.
yeah. Well, I noticed this week. I need to be more patient with her. If I ask her if she wants something new when she's still chewing like the last thing she ate, she gets all excited and then removes whatever's in her mouth and sets it on her tray. Like, okay, I'm ready for the next thing.
I do enjoy now. It's that international sign for I'm done eating when a kid starts like whipping their food off the table. But like when she does that, we get frustrated and we're just like, okay, you're done. We get it. And we'll grab the trash can and start scooping it in. And then she takes the time to daintily pick up like little beans and stuff and try to place them into the trash can to help.
Really
And we're like, really?
Sometimes if you catch her right in that window, she'll just start handing it to you before she throws it on the floor. Anyway, thank you for the feedback,
Yes.
listener. We enjoyed that. And
Feel
laughed.
free to comment on our posts and share your funnies because we might share your funny on the show.
Right. We like to hear from you all.
Tens, if not dozens of people will hear your joke.
Okay, so what else can we cover really quick before we dive into our topic of the week? I had
Sydney pretty much took up the brunt of the excitement this week with the walking.
I had a tiny miniature epiphany about life in general.
Win the lottery?
No.
Money solves everything? By the way, advertisers can get a hold of us on... Just kidding.
I was scrolling through the old Facebook, as one does. And people, I mean, there's articles on the internet about parenting are a dime a dozen, that's for sure. Someone I went to high school with posted something with a title that intrigued me. So I clicked through, and I had it pulled up, and then I lost it because I started searching for...
Is this the article we discussed earlier?
No.
This is something different.
This is something different.
Okay.
I have to pull it up again, and I do apologize to you all for making you wait, but I'll be quite quick. So I read a lot of stuff online. Sometimes I get bored and abandon ship about halfway through, but I actually sat down and read this one from start to finish. It was from handsfreemama.com. And oh, by the way, high school friend, if you're listening, I really appreciate you sharing that because it has really shifted my perspective on just about everything this week. And I'm really trying hard to put it into practice. So really, thank you for sharing that, Laura, if you're listening. I don't know if you are. I went to high school with her.
I gathered.
So, like I said, the article was from Hands Free Mama, and it looks like it's a blog by one Rachel Macy Stafford. I'm not familiar. Like I said, people share stuff on Facebook. So the title of this article was, I was perpetually angry until joy became my goal. Not the person. The act of being
Like
Joy.
Joy Behar?
No, she's not. I feel like she's pretty perpetually
Is it
angry.
Regis Philbin's wife named Joy?
Don't take a picture of me right now, please.
Take a picture of the microphone.
Okay.
Narcissist.
Well, you were holding up your phone and you're in front of me. I'm totally in that picture.
Hang on, it'll be like the top of your head.
I'm making a really gross face right now. Anyway, I was perpetually angry until joy became my goal. And I read through this article and it made me cry, which doesn't take a whole lot these days, and it made me cry because I related and it spoke to me because this was totally me. Well, it is, and I'm working on it. So the part that really got me, because there's a lot, and she tells a story about like what made her first start realizing this about herself, and she found this her daughter's soccer coach turned into a babysitter for them, and she was a 20-something, and just like
The coach was a 20-something, or the
the coach, and she became their babysitter, and like she was just a very joyful person, and she always had these amazing things to share about her children when they would like come back from a date night or some other engagement where they were out without their kids. And it made her realize, like, I don't even see these things about my own children because I'm so muddled and clouded and caught up in the day-to-day minutia of having kids that are young. And I'm like, wow, that sounds familiar.
Clouded is the dark side.
So this was the part that I really liked, and it might make me cry again because it's like years of my life. Anyway, when you base your happiness on tasks being completed, notes being pitched, plans running accordingly, and hairs being in place, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. And I'm like, wow, that's really true. You can't set the bar real high when you have kids. You just can't. Like, unless you have a maid and a cook and a dietitian.
And those little bastards are just going to be a disappointment anyway. So,
Well, and they're like tumbleweeds. They just make a mess.
making a joke.
I know.
I don't. My little bastards are not going to be a disappointment.
The third one isn't. So,
Oh, I didn't mean it in that.
God.
Hey, Jon Snow's king in the North now, and he
Doesn't
started out as a
bastard
bastard.
only refer to a man-child, or no? Is there a term for a girl?
Lady bastard.
Anyway, we're getting way off course in my serious topic over here. Man, husband. Anyway, I read this article, and the takeaway I stole was a mantra that she uses called "Why So Angry." So
Keep in mind, we just talked about the totally racist musical that the high school just did, so
no,
tread lightly.
I didn't say it. You, sir. I wasn't even thinking that.
You would do a voice and why so angry?
No. It's just nice.
Oh,
and,
like the Joker. Why so serious?
yeah, basically. Like
I'm the one who went
you did.
racial.
Well, and it's like the secondary one was I have everything and want more, which is like the American credo practically. But the why so angry, because it's like, it's just the things that really bubble my blood sometimes are so stupid. And I know, like, I'm recognizing that. I've been recognizing that for a long time, but now it's like I've read this article and I could make changes, and that's part of the reason why I think I had a better week this week. And even today, when Sydney was not having it, and I was tired because she didn't sleep well last night, and that's probably why she was kind of crabby in the morning, I was okay with that. Like, we dealt with it. We lived. The living room was a disaster when, I'm sure you saw it when you got home from work. Usually I
cleaned
have
it. Look.
It's all been pushed into the corner of the room, but
She's just going to push it right back out.
and I understand that. The only reason sidebar. The only reason I put everything away is because our living room's pretty small.
Oh, I agree.
Tripping hazard.
Yeah, I am not much of a cleaner organizer. However, Sarah can attest when it comes to safety. I can walk into a room and be like, that's unsafe, move that, get that out of here, move that. So it's like, when you connect those things,
Right.
or we have a very safe household.
But just to circle back to my little
Yes.
mini epiphany. So I read this article. I highly recommend it for anyone who feels constantly frustrated in their day-to-day life, even if you don't have kids.
What was the, it was a lady's blog?
Yeah, it's called handsfreemama.com.
Oh, okay.
And the article title was, I was perpetually angry
Sorry.
until joy became my goal. What are you laughing at?
You said hands-free mama, and I got this visual in my head of like...
Something dirty.
No, you know how you got like a Bluetooth?
Oh, yeah.
Of like, oh, I need my hands to do the dishes. So she takes like a headband, and the baby's like strapped to her head. It's just a visual icon. Like, oh, hands free.
I mean, a practical vision would have been like a baby in a baby carrier, because then your hands are free.
That's not funny at all.
It's
but
not.
a baby strapped to someone's head is much funnier.
You're hilarious, honey. So, why so angry? Next time you're about to like lose your ever loving mind because I don't know.
Who the hell knows?
Because the sun rose. Ask yourself why so angry. And if you can't,
Fucking sun thinks it's all that in a bag of potato chips.
this morning the
Who the hell does it think
sunrise.
it is anyway?
The sunrise was so pretty today. Oh my goodness.
I do agree. It looked like a pastel.
Did you get to see it?
Yeah, I was taking a whiz in the morning, and I was like, look at the sky. Seriously.
We have a window right by our toilet.
Yeah.
Just to give them a minute. You were like outside peeing into the
Man, wouldn't that be Grace? Balls
Grace?
in the wind.
That would be
beautiful
Grace?
sky.
Amazing Grace.
I meant, wouldn't that be nice? Oh, I was trying to say great and nice at the same time. I wonder
Grace.
if that's the origin of the word.
So I had this no. I read this article, and then it kind of dives into what we're gonna explore a little bit more, the article we have for this week, which is all about guilt. Because we had life happen this week, and it triggered my guilt so hard.
Triggered mine too. One day we'll talk about it, but we can't.
Right. But
Tender subject.
we'll just leave it at that. But I I did apply after I was irrationally blood boiling angry before the guilt hit. And I gave myself like a tiny panic attack, I think, because I started having chest pains. Sydney had already gone to bed, so she wasn't, like, not that that matters, but yeah, after I talked myself down off the ledge, I applied my new Why So Angry, and then, which, granted, this was not an irrational time to be angry, in my opinion.
Yes, this was completely rational
Completely
and normal.
justified.
It's one of those things where people who know us, or who are familiar with this particular point of stress,
We'll probably know what we're talking
like,
about.
there's been a lot of them that they're like, I don't know how you deal with that shit.
Right.
And my answer is, just do.
Well, we don't really have any other option
Exactly.
but to deal with it. But anyway, the article we're going to review is from, let me find it, psychologytoday.com. It's a couple years old, the article, that is, but I found it very
Information's
interesting.
still good. I've only skimmed it, but we're going to go through it. We're not going to read every word, but
No, it's
much
kind of long.
We like the listicles,
Yeah, we do. They're
and
fun.
it's nice because you can like read the number and get these people who wrote the article a little traction because we have so many listeners. It'll words don't come out of me. Anyway, it's fun and it gets us talking and blah blah blah.
So
blah,
the article
blah.
is
God.
entitled, it was written by Leon F. Seltzer, PhD.
Leon.
What is
was
that?
double-checking that was
Did I
him.
say that right? Did I say it weird?
No, you said Leon F.
Okay.
Seltzer. I was double checking that the L was not an I.
The subtitle is Evolution of the Self. I wonder if that's a book he read. Or
That's
book he
probably-
read. A book he wrote, maybe?
I read this book. I'm going to put it under my name. That's my qualifications. Is I read this book. I think it's probably
Or maybe his column.
it's his series.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the title is 9 Ways to Talk Yourself Out of Unnecessary Guilt.
Boy, howdy, do we relate to this?
The subtitle is To Rid Yourself of Needless Guilt, Reevaluate the Reasoning That Led to It. It's as simple as that, people. Sounds pretty easy.
And then there's a Netflix ad for Longmire.
I don't have that because I'm on the phone. You're on the web.
We were describing the things. I thought it'd
Oh,
be
shut
funny.
up. There's a cute little, what is that? Is that a clip art?
It's a little man holding a big guilt.
The word
And
guilt.
that's true because guilt feels like you're holding the world up.
It
And
really
sometimes
can.
you're like, son of a bitch, can I just let it crush me for a day? And then you die and sweet, sweet death gives you relief and
Stop it. Anyway.
well, if I'm carrying a giant guilt word,
Oh, I forgot
heavy.
something that I was going to share.
go ahead.
I feel bad because we just started this
Can we do it at the end of the episode?
No, that it won't feel right.
How long will it take to share?
I think I could do it in 2 minutes.
1, 2, 3, go.
So this morning, our 10-year-old Nevi, she shared with me a dream.
Oh, jeez.
So she's 10. We've been having some talks lately, me and her.
They've been bonding.
Yeah, and there's been some.
May I say, which is great because I fully admit Sarah in our household sometimes has to be like the policeman.
I'm the enforcer.
Yeah, the enforcer parent. And like, while I whip out the dad voice when I need to, the thing is like, I can only whip out the dad voice from time to time or else it would lose all effect. So when I do whip it out, it's like,
That's true.
anyway. But like, I cherish my children and I like having fun with them and stuff. And I parent when I need to, but Sarah's like, she's the enforcer. who's
I make
like,
sure shit gets done.
All right, you little
bitches
sons
get
of
stuff
bitches.
done. Haven't you ever heard that, Tina Fey? Genius. Bitches get stuff done. Anyway, so me and Nevi, we've been having conversations about life and such. And she had this dream last night that I did not have one additional child, not 2, but 3. Count them, 3 babies.
At once, right?
No, not at once. I guess just like consecutively. And she was there, which I thought was so weird. But we've been talking. She's had some questions lately about like marriage and family and
Yeah,
such.
well, they have health class in school.
They do too. Yeah, right. Wait, that sounded sarcastic.
Yeah, right.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
Correct. You are correct. Anyway, And then she said something funny, like she turned into a dragon at the end or something. I can't remember. I just laughed at her because, as the listeners know, Nevi doesn't really know this fact about her father, that there are no more babies in our future. We're donezo.
We've been officially passed.
Right. That was the other reason I wanted to share the dream, was so you could share that.
Oh, yay.
Yay. How many months? 6?
Okay. So
let's not go down there. It's
end of the episode.
It'll take so long.
You said, you just said how many months, and then I started answering.
You were gonna sit here and go, I went on this day, and then they told me I was clear, and then I had to go again, and they told me I wasn't.
Misinterrupt a lot. That's not what I was going to say.
Okay.
I was going to say, statistically, the average is about 8 weeks.
You're above average.
It's been since November, the second week of November. So just got cleared this week. Do the math.
It was a while.
Yes.
So anyway, now that I totally disjointed our podcast and no one's ever going to listen to it again.
So to review, where we found an article about guilt by Leon F. Seltzer, PhD, on psychologytoday.com called 9 Ways to Talk Yourself Out of Unnecessary Guilt. To rid yourself of needless guilt, reevaluate the reasoning that led to it. So we're going to jump straight to the 9. And the lead-in is to get started on your personal journey to reduce and hopefully eliminate superfluous guilt. Here are some suggestions that you should find useful. Would you like to take us through number 1, dearest wife?
Of course.
Thanks.
Number 1, tell yourself that you did the best you could. That whatever lapse of sound judgment impelled you to do something you now regret was yet the best judgment available to you at the time.
We're going to get in this. Impelled? Yeah.
That's what it says.
I've never heard that word.
Yeah. He's fancy. Leon is fancy as fuck. I don't know why I had to say that. So for me personally, this exact one, I don't feel like it speaks to me because in my most recent dealings with guilt,
it means to drive, force, or urge someone to do something. Sorry.
I knew that from the sentence.
I know, but I was like, add that word. It's one of my 25-cent words.
Okay. The rest of number 1, let me keep going because that's just the bolded part and there's more. It says you may simply have been too angry, anxious, depressed, distracted, or fatigued to have been in full possession of your moral faculties. So you can accept that given the particular psychological or physical circumstances prevailing at the time, you couldn't have acted any differently from the way you did.
You're basically letting the author take up all our talking points.
Well, I want to give them a full idea. I'm not going to read
summarize
anymore.
It pretty well.
But
I can think of a few times where I've been super guilty about like how I acted about something and shit. Sarah's heard me say, "Oh man, I really shouldn't have said that," so many times, and in many different situations. Not just arguing with her, but like confiding in her on like a conversation I had with somebody, or something with the kids that I thought I reacted wrong, or something like that, and. That is very true that at that particular moment, it seemed like the right thing to do, or like you're riled up. And like, there are people in my life who work very hard to push my buttons for their own personal entertainment.
Not me. For the record.
No, it is not her. And they want a reaction, and sometimes you give them a reaction, and then that's a situation where you can forgive yourself for acting irrationally.
Right. I mean, it just doesn't apply to me. I got no regrets over here.
And even
booyah. I'm kidding. I feel like for me, this one can be summed up with, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah. What's funny is one of the things that popped in my head is a recent conversation I had, which I won't get into, but it's a situation where I didn't realize I'd hurt someone's feelings. And it was one of those things where like, in one situation, I remember being like happy and thinking it was all a fun, like, oh, we're all having a good time, and wasn't realizing that made me sort of like overstep bounds. And it's one of those things like I feel very guilty about it, but then I'm like, oh, I'm going to learn from that because, and I acknowledge that I like what what's the way he put it? I did the best I could at the time, how he
Right.
put it, and that there was a situation around it that led me to that, but I can learn from it.
Okay, let's move on.
Number 2, consider that at the time of your misbehavior, you didn't know what you know now. Mm-hmm. Son of a bitch, that's a good one.
It really is.
I mean, man, it's one of those things I wish we could go into more detail about a certain situation because we could do a whole podcast on that.
Right.
Maybe we will one day.
Maybe.
With fake names and hiding my identity.
We'll get one of those voice scramblers so it doesn't even sound like us and like create like a new podcast.
I would like to talk about a court case in Ohio
Stop.
where I was. I ran out of words.
That's okay.
That was pretty good, though.
That was.
What did you say?
Yeah.
You want me to do more voices?
No.
Okay.
This one is just the simple like hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, that's the first thing I looked in there.
Like
And that's so true.
well, and you have to, like, this is something that I have a little mantra I do use is you have to plan based on what you know that is true today. Focus on today. Plan based on what you know is true today because you don't know what, so you can't guilt yourself in the future for planning for what you know is true today, even if you find out in the future what you think is true today is completely false and completely wrong. Like, you just can't. You can't do that to
Yeah.
yourself. You'll drive yourself nuts.
Yes. I mean, the whole point of this one is hindsight's 2020. Like,
Yeah.
don't fret over the fact that, like, I didn't know. And, like, honestly, there's, like, life situations you're in where somebody purposefully doesn't want you to have all the information.
Right.
You're at a disadvantage. And when you get all the information, you're like, well, fuck me sideways. I really could have used that about 10 minutes ago.
Exactly part of what happened this week.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's hindsight's always 2020, and you can't kick yourself for that. Would you like to move on to number 3?
Yeah. Number 3 does not apply to me personally. I don't know if I don't think it applies to you, but we'll read it and
I think this one we'll read the whole paragraph.
So 3, remind yourself that you're not to blame for surviving a tragedy that someone close to you did not. Continuing with our example of car accidents, they must have used that in a previous one we did not read all of.
Maybe that's the series we were trying to figure out.
Or that. Say someone you knew well, maybe even your partner, was killed in a vehicular tragedy in which you yourself were the passenger. Though logically you bear no responsibility for that person's death, it is hardly abnormal to experience guilt anyway, especially if you escaped with only minor bruises. It's survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
Is what he's referring to here. Oh, this is what's commonly referred to as survivor's guilt.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we don't have terribly much experience with that.
No.
I mean, you and I have both lost close friends recently to, like, sudden
Yeah.
things. And, like, it's not survivor's guilt like we went to war or something,
Right.
which is something that I can never relate to. But it's in terms of we just had the, like, ah, man, I could have went and saw them that one time.
There's just a little bit more on this. I'm just going to go ahead and read it. This is because we don't have any insight on this at all, and I'm not really comfortable venturing guesses.
Yeah, I was just saying that's the closest we could
Yeah.
get to it.
This is what's commonly referred to as survivor's guilt, and we're all more or less prone to it. Still, in such scenarios, you need to repeatedly tell yourself that who might lose their life in such a calamity is largely a matter of chance, and that surviving another's disaster in no way makes you culpable for it. So consciously defocus from any gratuitous guilt you may be experiencing and instead allow yourself to center on the much more warranted feelings of grief and sorrow, and perhaps also add in a measure of thankfulness and gratitude. So
This
I guess
guy's words are amazing.
they are. It's kind of a nice little challenge compared to all the HuffPost post stuff we quote. This is like Smarty Smick's Smarter Pants Leon.
Well,
Dr.
he is.
Leon.
PhD, Dr. Leon Seltzer, PhD, from psychologytoday.com. I want to keep, just in case they try to sue us.
Don't sue us, please. We have no monies. Okay, number 4. Let's move on.
Okay. Remember that to blame yourself for a mistake or mishap that at the time was beyond your control is to assume an intention or volition that may not at all characterize your behavior. I agree.
That one's a little complicated. It hurts my head.
Let me continue.
Yeah, I'm so
If you
reading.
had an awareness, intuition, insight, energy, etc., that at the time you didn't have, of course you'd have acted differently. But since the actual facts of the situation contradict the notion that you had blah, 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 I get it.
Isn't that the same as 2?
No. Okay, so let me use a different story. Remember last year or the year before when Kanye West stopped his show because there was a person not standing up for his song?
Oh, yeah.
And then it turns out that person was in a wheelchair.
Oh, right.
That's what this is talking about. Like, different situation. But it's basically saying, like, it was beyond your control and your intention because you may not have had all the information. Like, if your intentions were changed based on different information or something like that. I think that's what this means.
Okay.
So, yeah, Kanye, we forgive you, dude. Your music's still terrible, but it's cool.
And, I mean, the next paragraph kind of helps me understand,
Do you tend
too.
to beat yourself up for mistakes that from time to time all of us make? If
Yes.
so, you need, as in so many of the instances I'm describing, to stop being so hard on yourself.
He's looking at me.
I am, or Dr.
You are, but...
Selford is.
I do that a lot.
What's his name?
Seltzer.
Seltzer. Like the water?
Yes.
You think his family invented it?
Probably not. No, I think this is very relatable for all parents, especially mommies, because I hate to go there, but
I didn't have the information that you had poop in your diaper.
all the pressure is put on the moms. The dads are very rarely criticized for anything. Dads are freaking lauded and applauded and praised. And if
Yeah, you say that until the first time somebody goes, "Are you babysitting today?"
Well, I know that.
And then you want to punch them in their goddamn face.
I bought you a T-shirt that you never wear that says "Dads don't babysit." It's called parenting, and
I might wear it tomorrow.
you should.
I
because
usually only wear it when it's a day that it's just me and Sydney or just me and Nevi.
you've worn it like the day after I bought it for you. That's the only time.
I have so many T-shirts. You
I
got
know,
to put it on top.
I need to
and I'll wear it.
rotate them for you, don't I?
Sarah
This
side
This
note,
is marriage.
Sarah has learned that if she wants, because like I don't give a fuck what I wear. Like I usually just put a hoodie over it anyway.
So he gets into a rotation.
But she'll go, "You wear the same 5 shirts, whatever," and I'm just like, okay. And so sometimes she'll sneak in my drawers and like put a few on top so
Well,
she can see them.
And the job you have now, you wear like polos and dress shirts to work. So like it's literally like 4 shirts that he uses on the weekends or like to go to the gym. And I have to go in and like mix it up or I like lose my mind. See, why so angry?
You had no control over that. Don't beat yourself up. Hindsight is 20/20.
But you don't care. So I
Dr.
just,
Seltzer, PhD.
anyway, moms and dads, don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing a great job. If your kids are fed and clothed and occasionally do something adorable or smart and they're not complete little shits, you're doing a great job. And even on the days where they are complete little shits, because trust me, we have those as well. You're still doing a great job because you haven't strangled them. So like either way, you're winning. You're doing a good job. Don't beat yourself up so much. I'm going to go ahead and move on now because Luke has ran away to get another beer. Here he comes. It is St. Patrick's Day.
I've been waiting for these goddamn beers for so long. By the way, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I decided to pick up a traditional Jamaican lager, Red Stripe.
That is pretty funny. We're both wearing green. I'm drinking some wine.
I got hit on by an older lady today. Better watch out if I start getting a taste for 50-year-olds.
Ew. Anyway, 5. Not that there's anything wrong with 50-year-olds. I'm just, the way you said it was gross. Anyway.
Like this.
5. Tell yourself that your behavioral ideals
Oh, shit, we're
you
on 5?
set for yourself may be too high. Or that your original family may have encouraged you to adopt or even forced upon you overly rigorous standards that you now judge yourself by.
Can I follow this one? So
Yes.
I would even change that word, not family, whatever.
Original family?
Internet, Facebook, all that shit these days.
Oh, that's true.
They put up this portrait of perfection.
Oh, yes.
And just remember, it's that whole saying of that person who always constantly posts like personal quotes. Like, don't get me wrong, some people that post the quotes and stuff are like clever and cool and like we get it.
Like, Don't let the muggles get you down.
Yeah.
That was mine the other day.
And
I
like,
love Harry
I
Potter.
like finding quotes, like quotes that are like, oh, here's a cool thing some famous
Yeah.
person said, like something interesting. That's okay. But I'm talking about those people that always quote like self-help quotes and stuff like that. And then it's like, you're a goddamn train wreck. Like, who are you trying to convince?
themselves.
I know, it's very judgmental of me, but I'm
is.
right. Anyway, and then the people that post like, here's my perfect life and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I have a very hard time with it. I struggle with not comparing myself for that. So like,
Oh, yeah.
those
That's a
are
huge issue.
these ideals that are set for me to be too high. And, you know, it might not be from my family, but from the greater world. I mean, this is a couple years old. God, think about how much social media has grown in 2 years.
Mine might be from my family, but let's not go there.
No, yeah, my family's pretty chill. But I have a very big problem with setting goals for myself based on the age of other successful people. I have a lot of trouble
Well,
with that.
I feel like that kind of ties into this. Because if you keep
That's what I'm
reading,
saying.
it says it's possible that you guilt yourself for not accomplishing or even attempting something that really isn't in you to achieve. We all have certain inherent limits.
So you saying I'm not capable?
Just let me finish. And if you got the message that if you failed at something, it was only because you hadn't tried hard enough, you may emotionally punish yourself whenever you don't succeed at something you falsely believe you could have or should have.
I was going to make a joke, but you didn't let me finish.
It's not all about
I forget what it was. That's my role here. You're the straight man. I'm the funny guy.
Anyway.
Don't you see my spinning bow tie and seltzer water?
Well, this goes back to what
He ignores my joke.
a Leon seltzer water.
Hey.
Dr. Leon seltzer.
I think that's a good one. That's probably the one I relate to most so far.
Well, but if you keep going,
We can't read the
ties-
whole article.
I want to read it. Why can't I?
Read it on your own time.
It says compulsively striving for perfection is a wonderful setup for failure. That's the thing.
That's a good quote.
My whole thing.
You should make a meme on that.
If you would have listened to the other thing I talked about tonight, it's the same thing, is what I'm trying to point out. Like my whole why so angry. If you're constantly setting your happiness on perfection and like all these things happening in a certain way, you're setting yourself up for failure. That's all I'm trying to say. Number 6.
Can I read one?
Yes. Please do, dear husband.
Number 6. Acknowledge and honor your right to protect your self-interests. I love that.
Yeah, this is like our core belief here at He Said, She Said podcast. You do you.
And it is only very recently that I've started just looking out for number 1. Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of my time and my life trying to make other people happy.
Well, I'm doing things out of obligation.
Yeah. And like,
We don't do that shit anymore.
it was very hard for me to go,
Sorry, guys, I'm sweating.
to try not to be guilty about just doing something for me. And that's like with me and Sarah, we have a very good understanding of, like, hey, I need a few hours. I'm just going to go to a movie. Cool. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about things like, I don't know, having to leave people that may be counting on you, but then it's kind of like, oh, well, I mean, they weren't really doing anything for me. I was doing everything for them, and I was
Right.
getting nothing out of that. So
Right.
I need to not feel guilty about looking out for number 1 and moving on from that particular situation.
Right. I cut a lot of friends like that out of my life.
Yep. When I left my
Past
doo-wop
few
group.
years. Your doo-wop group. Okay, now that I've wiggled myself out of my sweater, I'm not over here overheating. So yeah, I really like that one.
I don't have a whole lot to add. I think that's one I relate to in the way of like, I think I've almost beat that one. I'm still working on it
Yeah.
a lot about like, it's even that little thing, like when you're really sick and like there were times like I wouldn't call off to work even when I was super sick because
You're so
it's,
bad at that.
I am.
You're getting better.
I'm trying, but like, and it's also that whole thing. Side note, America, when you're sick, stay home because you're just going to get other people sick.
Or get more sick and have to like go to the doctor and
Right.
spend lots of money to get better.
That's one
again.
thing I don't understand about our country where it's like, oh, hard workers go to work when you're sick. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you go to work sick and you get everyone else sick. And then the whole
Right.
department's fucked up. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that about my particular situation, just about America
In general.
In general.
Yeah.
That's a self-interest thing where, like, I've worked on it, and, like, I have called in sick once for myself, and I took a half day once because Sydney was really sick.
Oh, she was a hot mess that day.
But that was one of those things a couple years
could not
ago.
take time
I
off.
would not have done that. I would have been like, I can't. I have to go to work. And then it's
Right.
like, work don't owe me shit, and I don't owe them shit. Like,
That's true.
I do a service, and they pay me money for it. That is all that's owed.
Mm-hmm.
With our at-will employee things that
Right.
we have now, nobody has union, so it's like, go fuck yourself. We're done here.
I will give my current boss a lot of props because since I do work from home, I have like a weird gray area, at least in my mind, because I don't have to I'm not being around other people. I don't have to get dressed. I can work in my pajamas. But he is huge to hold me to the same regard of his in-office employees. He's like, Sarah, you need to take some time off. There was one day he could tell I was really tired on a call, and I confided in him. I said, we had a really rough night. I have very little sleep. He's like, finish what you got to do. And he's like, go take a nap. It's Friday. It was a Friday. I think it was last Friday.
We need more nap time in the American workplace.
Yes. He is hands down probably my favorite boss I've had so far. Ironically, slightly younger than me. He's a millennial, like true, tried and true millennial.
He's younger than you?
Just by a couple years, but yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. He's great though. Like
He's good at what he does.
He's good at what he does. He's so hands off, and he can recognize when people know what they're doing, and he doesn't have to hover. He doesn't micromanage. It's awesome.
What's that like?
I know, right? I'm so sorry.
I do have to put in, if I may give hats off to one of my former bosses. If there's Catalina, if you're listening, you're not.
She's not.
We carry this show in Montreal. Anyway, she was one of the first bosses I had where it was funny. Like, I judged everything based off a previous job, and like I would explain like why I have to take a day off, and she'd be like, "Why are you telling me this?" And she's
Yeah.
like, "It's okay." She also had an accent. I'm not going to do it. But there was a time. Oh, I hurt my back, and like I could hardly stand up, and she told me, she's like, "Do you have a recliner at home? Go work from home." And I was like, "You can do that?" And she's like, "Yeah. How long do you need? A couple days?" And I'm like, what the hell? What is this accommodation for my own self-interest? Bosses don't do that, because my previous boss was a real turd. And
I forgot to mention, I drove past there a couple weekends ago when I was in town.
yeah,
Flipped it off for you.
I do that too.
No, I mean, I drove directly past the building because it's right by the hospital where my grandma was.
Yeah, every time I drive by that general section, I always tell Sarah, like, flip it off. Flip it
Well,
off.
ironically, this employer was located in my hometown. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know it was a place until you started working there, but just happened to be there. So I'm there
Anyway.
pretty frequently.
I think it was nice that we give the bosses who do look
Right.
out for our self-interest.
He's so great.
I don't know how we got on the subject, but it's good to acknowledge
Well,
that.
you were talking about...
We could probably do a whole episode on, like, work. Like,
Yeah.
making you and work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what a good name.
That is.
Let's do that next episode.
Maybe.
Okay,
but
we got to move on.
Okay.
We're at almost an hour.
Oh, Jesus. We're like, let's do a short episode. 30
know.
minutes. Yeah, right. We ramble
Okay,
like a
number 7,
mofo.
lucky 7.
Am I reading or are you reading? 7? I thought we were on 9.
Nope.
I jumped ahead, apparently.
Number 7.
No, we just did number 7.
No, we didn't. You want me to read it?
There's too many. Should
Number
we save
7.
the other ones for next time?
Recognize the legitimacy of standing up for your rights. Man, did they predict the future 2 years ago?
Right.
Because if I may speak as a man in America for Sarah's uterus and your own rights, I don't think that's really what this is talking about.
It's not, but
Closely related to the above, other thing I just read, this suggestion centers on feeling okay, not guilty, about asserting yourself and comfortably setting limits when someone may be on the verge of taking advantage of you. If, for example, you get an unsolicited phone call trying to sell you something, well, that's not where I would have went with this, but
I know. What a benign.
don't be concerned that you might be seen as rude. Essentially, you hang up on them. If you essentially hang up on them, blah, blah, blah. That's true.
I think
People inconvenience you.
Right. And we're bad at this.
Yeah,
we're real bad at this. Like, for example, I called to set up an appointment. Go ahead.
Remember, we were eating. We've talked about this before when the lady touched our baby.
Oh my God, yes, and you still tipped her.
Yeah, we should have.
I wouldn't have tipped her if I was by myself.
Remember earlier in the episode, hindsight's 20/20, and
I wouldn't have.
Anyway.
I need no hindsight in this situation.
A waitress touched our baby with her grubby hands.
Her
that
face.
Has been touching what
Not
touched
even
our baby's
like
face.
her cheek, her little adorable cheek.
And that's a situation where we should have stood up for our rights and everything and been like, "Hey, don't touch people's babies. Like, don't do that." And it's one of those things like we didn't want to be seen as rude, so we just kind of looked at each other, eyes wide open, and we're like, "Holy fuck!" And then Sarah's like, "She's not getting a tip," but I still tipped her like $2, which is a shitty tip on what we had.
That's true.
But
and you
in
know
America's workforce, waitresses don't make shit. So I'm like, maybe she touched that baby because she's taking care of her own kids because she's working so hard.
Maybe.
And she missed her kids and she just lost herself from
I went to the same establishment on Wednesday with Nevi and Sydney and had an I had a really good experience, and I tipped the crap out of her, man. It was like, the bill was $8 because kids eat free on Wednesdays. So I tipped her, it was $8 and I totaled it up to like $12.50. So that's like 35%.
Technically, you're supposed to tip as if the free things were still there.
Oh shit! Well, then it was like a 20%.
Still, it's nice. But it was so funny
generous.
When we talked on the phone because I was out doing a thing. Sarah's like, "Oh, and the one who touched our face or touched Sydney's face wasn't there, so that was nice."
I was worried. I told Nevi about it before we went in, and then I was like, "Crap!" Nevi's kind of literal, and I was like, Nevi, if she is there, I was like, just don't ask the waitress if she's the one who touched.
Are you gonna touch my sister's face? Right. You shouldn't do that.
She's like, I won't do that. God, I'm like, whatever.
Okay, go ahead and read number 8.
Okay, number 8. Tell yourself that even if they're at the odds with another's, there is nothing wrong or bad about diligently pursuing your own goals. So
that's kind of with looking out for number 1.
It is. It basically is. And I think of it like a job promotion. Like, let's say you have a coworker and there's this opportunity that arises for both of you to apply for the job.
You
don't wish them ill will.
You're in a position where if you're to be successful, you must compete with and defeat someone else.
Right.
That's just our world. We do live in a capitalist country, and there's nothing wrong with that. And competition does happen. And when we defeat you, you must be gracious to your victor.
So that means all the other relationship podcasts out there, you need to go to iTunes and rate us and subscribe. But
make sure you're rating the right one because there's a whole bunch of other ones.
But ours says a relationship podcast. No one else says that.
It's the only one with Luke and Sarah.
Right. It has our little logo. So number 9... I love number 9.
Can I read it?
Because I think it's why I have
Can I read
issues
it
with
in my
guilt.
sexy voice?
No, ew. Just read it normal.
So compassionately, but authoritatively.
That's your sexy voice, really? You sound like...
Nope, I'm trying to be like Barry White, but my nose is stuffy.
You sound like really slow-talking Zap Brannigan from Futurama.
Oh. Duck? Do you want me to just talk like Zap Brannigan?
Yes, do that.
Duck compassionately, but authoritatively. He couldn't read this. To the inner child parts of you with whom most of your irrational guilt programs originated. I lost it. I my nose is a little stuffy, so it makes it tough. I'm sorry, guys. I can't perform in these conditions.
It's okay. So it says at an earlier age, you can virtually assume that you receive messages from your caretakers instructing you that certain of your behaviors were bad and that they should provoke you into feelings of guilt. Lacking the authority back then to question or challenge the viewpoint, you decided you had better adapt to these rules, routinely guilting yourself whenever your actions didn't conform to these presumably indisputable standards. So I'd like to take this time to point out that Luke and I were both raised Catholic.
Oh, boy.
And I know not everyone
to
is
translate
Catholic.
to all you non-Catholics, guilt. Guilt. Catholic.
Everything.
Is Catholic Latin for guilt? Be guilty, feel guilty, and give us money? Because that's what I take it as.
Yeah. And I think that is a huge factor. Not that there's not adults out there our age struggling with guilt who aren't Catholic. I'm sure there are. But
Goddamn Lutherans.
I feel it's probably how we got here. And it's like this horrible cycle since we were both raised Catholic. We both harbor those situations where you just feel awful about something. But this week I really tried hard with our life event to just tell myself, like, you know what? There is absolutely nothing I could have done or that I can do. I feel bad and I feel guilty that I can't. But, like, the fact of the matter is I can't do anything to change this. So I have to let that go because I'm only one person. I'm only one mom and stepmom and wife and lady and friend and employee. And I'm only capable of so much. And I have to, the guilt is something I can let go of, and it's gone. At least for this week. Check back next week. Stay tuned.
I'll be back.
Don't be so cynical, sir. I have a new outlook. Why so angry? I'm going to start asking you why so angry.
I'm using information that I have now, and I know that now I know, hindsight being 2020, that I am so angry. So, yeah.
It's
that should
not
be the
that
title
you
of
are
this.
or aren't. It's that why are you so angry?
This episode should be titled "Why So Guilty."
You're not supposed to say that on the episode. We never
It's like
do
the
that.
end of the episode. That doesn't matter.
We haven't even. We have to do a couple other things. Super fast.
Well, that's the end of that article.
Yeah.
The inner child thing. I'm trying to think of some lessons I learned as a child that now I'm like, ugh.
I just don't remember a time I didn't feel bad or guilty about something. That's how I assume it started in my childhood because there was always something.
Remember how when you were a kid, everybody always said, wait your turn?
Yeah.
And you ever notice that the people who didn't wait their turn are like way more successful?
Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't do that. We should no longer wait our turn.
Okay.
I'm going to cut in front of so many people in lines tomorrow. Be like, fuck you.
I'm always like at the movie theater. I went to the movies on Sunday, which is a good segue because I wanted to talk about Logan. Fucking loved it. Anyway.
It was good.
At the movie theater, I always have to have my popcorn because I'm popcorn obsessed. People are just like standing there willy-nilly 7 deep in a line and there's a dude with no one at it and I just zip on right over.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Idiots.
Like, seriously.
Why should you
look
be punished for their
alive.
stupidity?
Look alive. Get
And I
into the
will
shorter
bet you,
line.
knowing this particular establishment and their top-notch staff.
We've talked about that before, I think.
Yeah, because I wrote a letter talking about how great their staff was during my 5 times watching Star Wars Force Awakens. What was my point? Oh, they're a really great staff. I guarantee you they said, I can help somebody over here.
Probably.
And a bunch
No
of
one-
dummies are probably chatting or looking at their phones
Right.
instead of being excited about the new motion picture they're about to partake.
I was there on Sunday. I went to see Logan. Oh, it was so good. It gave me all the feels.
Are we on to a next subject?
Yeah, Logan.
It was good.
It was so good.
Let's not spoil anything.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but even if you're not an X-Men, it wasn't exactly it was not an X-Men movie.
Oh, you could take all of the mutant stuff out of this movie and it's still
Oh my
good.
God, it was so good. And even leaving it in, it's so peppered throughout. Like it's not the focus of the plot line. God, it was so good.
If anyone who
Hugh
listens to this happens to be a voting member of the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts or whatever it is, if Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman are not nominated for Best Actors or Actor and Supporting Actor respectively, you can all go fuck yourselves because they were great.
It was not a comic book movie.
No,
Like,
I think
I mean-
it transcended comic book movie.
Yeah, it was so great. And I was happy to report I didn't see any inappropriately aged children in there. Granted, I went at 11:30 on a Sunday.
In theaters,
but
have been doing their due diligence to
Yeah,
tell people
'cause
like
it was-
this is not a kids movie. You dumbasses.
it was very gory that I was like giggling at the gore.
Oh, there was times where Wolverine would like punch people in their chins, but with a
Yeah.
spike, so his claws went up the top of their skull.
Yeah. For those of you who aren't familiar at all with comic books, Logan is all
Everybody
about.
knows who Wolverine is.
That's not true.
Yeah.
No, not true.
I'm just saying he has claws that come out of the back of his hand. Like
No, but I'm saying, just saying Logan, people might not know what it's about. It's all about Wolverine's.
he's aged.
Is that his name or is it his fake
Wolver-
name?
That's his
Logan.
Like, his foot.
That's his
no,
name.
His real name is James Hewlett.
That's it. I thought that was a made up name in the
that's
movie.
But his memory was erased during the Weapon X
That's
program.
right. So
And
they gave him the name Logan.
that was just on a dog tag.
Oh.
Well, in the movies, like
I
there's
really liked that name. That was one of my boy names.
isn't that what Jason Mewes named his
yeah, Logan
daughter?
Lee.
Oh, so cute.
We're getting way off track here.
yeah, anyway.
let's come back. It was a good movie.
Really good movie. Beware that if you have any problems with allergies or anything when you watch the movie, maybe do some eye drops before you watch the movie because it's touching. Fucking Patrick Stewart, man.
It was so good.
Oh, and you get to hear Patrick Stewart say "fuck." It's great.
Okay, so we are failing miserably at telling you guys good shows to watch, but I did discover something I
a
want to
couple.
watch in the future.
Okay.
This week, I've become obsessed with a web series called "I Mom So Hard" on YouTube, and they have a Facebook. They're hilarious. They're from Nebraska. They just talk about the ridiculousness
We
that
should
is
network with them.
parenting. We should. They're huge, like gigantical. They do like tours. Anyway, one of the commercials was for a YouTube Red movie. Do we determine it was a movie or is it a show?
It is a movie.
And it's called The Thinning. And it's the plot line from the trailer is I don't know. I'm guessing it's the future.
Dystopian, which we've just said Sarah loves dystopian.
I love them. For those of you who haven't listened to those episodes where I've rambled about it, like last week, episode 8, 7, last week's.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, so it's the future, and there's too many people in the country, so there's a test, and if you don't pass the test, you die. And I
Find
think
out maybe something nefarious is going on, and then
Right.
investigate.
it just looked really intriguing
It
to me,
did.
and I think the test is easier for like 5-year-olds than 15-year-olds, and it progressively it's one test for all the 5-year-olds.
Oh, I gathered from the trailer that it looks like it's rigged. I guess we'll find out tomorrow
Right.
when we watch it.
I'm so excited.
We're gonna watch it tomorrow. I have a couple suggestions on shows you may binge.
Okay.
We completely forgot to mention Grey's Anatomy. Like we're caught up and we watch it every week, but that's a show that's readily available on Netflix.
I think we mentioned it when we were
So-
helping a listener
Because we
question.
have a funny marriage story for Grey's Anatomy. Mm-hmm. So was it shortly before we got married or like after? It was around the time we got married. Sarah watched Grey's Anatomy. I would make fun of her. So, oh, fucking doctor show. Blah. And then I would sit down and she'd be like, if you're going to sit with me, you can't make fun of it. And I'm like, fine. And then to sit down and be like, huh, stupid show. So what's that guy's deal? And she's like, oh, well, that's this guy and he does this. But, well, okay.
and I'd have to
So,
keep
like, he like-
pausing it
So he likes that girl? And-
because I'd watch it on demand back then because we still had cable.
yeah. And then eventually I just started watching the show.
Well,
And
eventually
then-
I'm like, if you're going to sit here and ask me all these questions, just watch it all.
Right. So shortly after that, I began from episode 1 and I caught Clean Up. And now we watch it together it's live every Thursday. Anyway,
It's
that's
on
a good show.
TGIT, whatever the hell that ridiculous.
Wait, what?
They call it TGIT on ABC.
Oh, I thought
Like
you meant a new
TGIF.
network. I was like, they moved?
No.
And another show I would like to suggest to anyone, because it's fucking awesome. I have just finally caught up on every episode of Project Runway that I missed during my boycott after the Mondo debacle. So that's Project Runway All-Stars, and Project Runway Junior.
We've talked about both of those already.
I don't care. It's so good. I can't talk about it enough.
A show I will recommend watching from the beginning, Mad Men, if you haven't. It's
Oh,
amazing.
geez, that's a great. And the whole series is on Netflix.
Like, it's so good that it ends, and you just want to start watching it all over again. It's
It
one
is.
of those.
It's almost. It's not. I was say it's almost Office good in terms of like ending it and wanting to start from the beginning, but
It has a different feel, but
Yeah.
I liked the way that they pepper in actual history. That was one of the
Yes.
reasons I really enjoyed that show.
yeah. And it even ends with an actual like historical advertisement.
Yeah.
Why did I say like, advertisement?
Because we're reaching the end here.
Yes.
We're sliding into home. Baseball analogy for the couple that doesn't watch baseball at all. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
That's a sticky wicket.
I just nevied you. She does that. She goes, huh? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this week, and I hope to maybe peek a message in our inbox at hesaidshesaiedpc@gmail.com if you guys have questions, feedback, funny things that an episode made you think or
Yeah,
feel.
I do want to emphasize that we're not soliciting just your questions, like your funny parenting stories and relationship things, or like a little nugget of your relationship that you think would be a thing to share with
Yeah.
somebody that they might be able to get something out of. Like, just whatever.
We're
It's
taking
cool.
suggestions on
shows.
dates. Like if you have an interesting date you want
idea.
us to go on, and then we'll like report back on how it went. You can suggest gross or random weird baby foods for
Yeah,
us
that's
to
the one
try.
I was going to say.
I was actually going to do that tonight, but I forgot, and I can't get out of this chair because we need
Yeah,
to get me
if
a
you'd
normal
like
mic.
to PayPal me beer money, that's a thing
Will
too.
you stop badgering them about giving us money?
It's a joke,
You're
dear.
always trying to get them to advertise. And
I am going to read this article. I do not feel guilty
don't
about
feel
saying
guilty,
that joke.
but I don't want to.
It's a joke. Hindsight's 2020. Now that you have the information that you know that it was a joke, please don't feel guilty about snapping at me. See, people, we learn.
So yeah, you can get in contact with us at hesaidshesaiedpc@gmail.com. Instagram is he said she said PC. On Facebook, we're He Said She Said Podcast. We also put every episode on YouTube. You can listen there inconspicuously at work if needed. We post new episodes every Sunday, and we hope you enjoyed.
Rating us 5 stars on iTunes if you wouldn't mind taking the time.
That would be nice too.
Yep. And we hope you also enjoyed.
Getting both sides of the story. That was so bad. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Have a nice week.